Reverend Frank Chikane, thank you so very much for giving us your time. We really do appreciate it. You are a respected leader in your own right. You are a former anti-apartheid activist. We actually are lucky to have you right here with us because you are a miracle. You survived a brutal, diabolical attempted assassination through poisoning.
Yeah.
You made it out alive, and you've served this country in many positions. You were DG in the presidency. You were also commissioner of the IEC. And now we're speaking to you in your capacity as the chairperson of the Integrity Commission in the ANC.
Yeah.
Did you ever think at this point in your life that you would be required to teach grown men and women about morals and ethics?
Yeah. Well, you would never have predicted would be here. I mean, it's impossible to. We worked during the time when people sacrificed their lives. I mean, from the beginning to the end, many of our people died. Many were tortured. And I always go to Biko, Stephen Biko's memorial place in Ginsberg. And you've got on the wall, you know, people who died in detention around and the years. And I can show you when I was in detention, how many people died during that detention, get to the next one and the next one. People paid a huge price. And I did not believe. There is a stage where I said, you can't buy comrades. You know, we're not on sale during the struggle. The money was there. They wanted to buy us out. But we stuck with it, fought the system until it collapsed. And when we started, I mean, that first generation, there were people there who became part of the problem. But it's very few. Of that generation, there was total commitment to transform this country to the type of society we fought for, which is just, equitable, non-racial, non-sexist. We fought for that. But there were a few amongst us. And those few go further down, even in history, where people were in the country, committed some crime or misdemeanor, and took advantage of running away and go to exile, join the liberation movements. And it's not just the ANC alone. So there are people who were corrupted from the beginning.
They joined as criminals.
Yeah. Well, nobody knew they were criminals. I mean, there's one case where a person came back 20 years later and was charged for murder. So there were people amongst us who were sleepers. The people who were infiltrated into the liberation movement, and I'm talking about all the liberation movements. And we paid a price for that. But there were others who were corrupted as they came in. If you read one of my books, Things That Could Not Be Said, I have a chapter there which deals with the reality that the old was corrupting the new.
Actually, you wrote a letter to Nelson Mandela at the time, in the 90s.
Copied to Mbeki. I mean, I was there just within 18 months in the presidency. I picked it up. That the old, if they were corrupt, which they were, by the way, very corrupt.
The apartheid government.
Yeah, they civil servants, except that they fought for their space. But it doesn't mean they were not corrupt. I mean, apartheid was corrupt by definition. But I noticed that they were targeting, when you get appointed, they target on you. Most of our people had nothing when they came back from exile. I remember running this retainees program of exiles. I chaired that committee, and we were giving them 800 rands when they arrived. And they were going to have a grant for a few months, and that's it. But they went back home. They were still in the four-roomed house. Poverty was at its worst. They had no income. And even the salary settled, Shell House, you will remember during those days, it was 2,500 per month. When I was earning 12,000, 13,000 because I was employed. And so people became vulnerable. They were offered houses. Some people, when they arrived here, some people were given money. And so
by whom? By individuals in the state.
Order plus business. So it's individuals in the state to corrupt you. Because if I corrupt you, you can't take me on. Yeah. If you take me on, I take you on. So the best way to make sure you don't become my enemy is to corrupt you. But there were business people who planned in advance, gave comrades houses, because they didn't have them. At least I worked. I was here, General Secretary of the Council of Churches. I built a house, So I wasn't vulnerable, but many were. And we did not plan to make sure that we deal with that reality.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah, that's the mistake that we made. And so now we have got younger generation that has come in thinking that this is the way of doing it.
It's now endemic.
Yeah, it's now endemic.
What did you say to Mandela exactly, and how did he respond?
No, I said the old is corrupting the new. We need to stop it. And
what did he say? What was his response?
Well, he responded politically, not in writing. So it went to the NEC of the ANC. And that's how they developed all these laws, anti-corruption laws. And they thought that if you have those laws, you would stop the corruption. But I think it's more than that. You need to change people's way of thinking, not just laws. Laws don't change people. And so they went ahead with the laws. In fact, our black empowerment laws, which were good for the poor and excluded, were used to enrich individuals at the expense of the people. And so you give me a tender to do a road, but I don't have skills to do that. I don't even know how much it will cost. And so when you ask me to bribe you to give me that deal, I give you $1 million out of the 40 million or whatever, then transport department, another $1 million. You can't finish that project because you've given away the money. The capitalists are clever. They just, increase the amount and provide for corruption. And so it's not like they are not corrupt, but they provide for it. And we didn't really get to changing people, preparing them for this war. We prepared people to take over government, but we didn't prepare people to govern. There's a document that says ready to govern of the ANC. And I always say, after I've been in government, I realized we're not that ready. We should have prepared the cadres, told them, when somebody offers you a house, you must ask what the implications are about that. What does it go with? Yeah. And somebody offered me, I said, I complained about my house in Soweto. I built a lovely house there with my own money, and it would have cost 2 million if it was in Sandton. But in Soweto, it was 400,000. Because you built it in the wrong place. Now somebody came and said, no, I can give you the 2 million, just sell it because it's far from Pretoria. I looked at him and said, how will I explain it to the public that I got 2 million when this house is 400,000?
So it was a lost opportunity in the 90s. Because as much as you say that you focused on making governance almost corruption proof through laws,
Yeah.
It was the mindset that needed to change. The
Yeah.
integrity, the morals, which is what you're responsible for now,
Yeah.
instilling those morals.
Yeah, but as a pastor, remember I was a pastor even during that time. I knew you need to change the minds of people. During the struggle, we understood that. You must root the people in what we want to achieve, understand that, sacrifice your life for it. And we needed to get them ready to do that in the new South Africa. They went the route, by the way, my book also talks about that they went the route of changing the laws, creating new laws. But no, people still continued.
Still continued.
Yeah.
Because there were no consequences. I mean, the Chinese state
Yeah.
is corrupt.
Yeah.
It is known to be corrupt. But when that corruption surfaces, they deal with it decisively.
Yeah. They even shoot you.
They even shoot
then hang you
for bribery and corruption.
Yeah.
So when it surfaces, when it is known, they cut its head off.
Yeah.
That's not what we're doing.
No, we didn't go that route because I think people
not death sentence, but dealing with corruption decisively. At the moment, as we speak now, Jacob Zuma's corruption case is still ongoing more than 20 years later.
Yeah, but that's the democracy we have created, and the constitution we have. You have to follow the laws.
You do, but it is also a denial for accountability. It's somebody who refuses to be held accountable in the long run.
Yeah.
Because if you are presumed innocent until proven guilty in South Africa.
Yeah.
That's our democracy.
Yes.
You are a former president. You should be confident that even if you are found guilty, erroneously or unfairly, then the systems are in place in this country for you to prove your innocence, right?
Yeah.
But to drag a case on for 20 years, it's a refusal to be held accountable. And I think that's what we see with many leaders.
Yeah.
They refuse to be held accountable. Our current president is refusing to be held accountable. He's also going to drag the entire country down this route of going to court and up and down.
Yeah.
And I think one of the main reasons why the Chinese deal with corruption decisively is that it distracts them from the issue at hand, which is to improve the lives of ordinary people.
Yeah. But you know what? If you went the route where you're not following the law.
I'm not saying we shouldn't follow the law. Yeah. I'm just saying deal with it decisively.
If you follow the law, here is President Zuma. I don't agree with him. I mean, he's been dragging this. I don't know who's even bankrolling it. Dragging this for many years. It should have been stopped. I thought the legal system will say, no, you can't continue the way you are doing it. And I think the latest judgment is actually saying continue with the case, irrespective. So I think we are caught. You must differentiate two things. Caught in a place where people assert their rights. For instance, if you talk about the current president, I don't want to get into that because I'm in the Integrity Commission and I deal with this matter, so I don't comment about specific cases. But you can't say you have no right to review this report. You can't say that. So you have to give him the right to do that, and Parliament must do what it's supposed to do. But there are people who take advantage of our laws. That's why I'm saying even when you've got a good black empowerment regime, they take advantage of that and make sure they exploit the system, corruption, etc. There are cases where we should be decisive, and I believe I agree with you. There are cases where we take too long. There are cases which should be dealt with instantly. I always say to comrades, in the church, I mean, if you are found, I won't make example of what they are found doing. I mean, they set up an inquiry, they get you out of the way quickly. It doesn't take long. And then you can also go to the court, and say, I mean, it's like, having a relationship with a minor. We don't debate whether it was a minor or not. It's that you are married. What were you doing there? You know what I'm talking about?
It's integrity. It's about integrity.
It's integrity,
yes. And integrity.
But in terms of the law, there are political actions that should have been taken. I agree with you. There are people who should never have lasted a day. If I'm a leader, I would sit with you and say, just tell me the story. And based on that story, I would say, no, this thing is going to bring the organization into disrepute. We need to release you, and you release them.
Yes.
I mean, that's what we should do.
Yes, because one of your clauses regarding the Integrity Commission, it says, which I found quite interesting, the officials and the NEC may refer to the Integrity Commission any unethical or immoral conduct by a member which brings or could bring or has the potential to bring or as a consequence thereof brings the ANC into disrepute. I mean, it opens the gate wide open.
It's very open.
And it's got nothing to do with the law. It's not a legal concept. It's a concept of morality and integrity. So the president definitely has the right to drag this case for as long as possible, legally. But where does integrity lie? Integrity lies where the country cannot afford to be distracted by dollars in a couch. We cannot. We have big problems to sort out. A quarter of the people in this country don't know where their next meal is going to be coming from. We have graduates who have no jobs. But now we have to be seized with this matter of the president and his dollars in his couch.
But I would like to say to you, you see, you forget that you are interviewing a judge. No judge goes to the media and talk about a case that's before the judge. So I think it's a wrong approach. I can't talk about specific cases that are either before us, and I've been refusing interviews about Minister Tolashe, because they were saying, what's your view? I said, I can't express it because the matter is in front of me. And so I shouldn't make a mistake of answering you around a particular person. I think we should talk about corruption in general, and it affects everybody, and we need to end corruption. Now you're going into the case and evidence and etc. I can't go there, unfortunately.
I'm trying to focus on integrity and not necessarily the legal merits or demerits of the president's case. But I understand
you can't invite a judge to come and talk to you about a case that's in court. It would be so wrong. So I'm saying compromised leaders should not be in leadership. And if you talk about the organization, it has its own standards. You just read that paragraph there. No one, even those who may, you know what I'm talking about, you must block it and make sure it doesn't happen. And the only way to do that is to have an effective system. But you know what? They then go and corrupt the police themselves. I mean, this Madlanga Commission, it tells us something that no one thought of. That whilst you are dealing with a crime and we're complaining, we're not defeating crime, but you have so many generals who are in the pockets of the criminals. And I proved that long time ago and gave it to the crime intelligence. That C13, there used to be C13 in Barra, next to Baragwanath Hospital, where they kept stolen cars, etc. And there was a unit there that was arresting people who steal cars and etc. But that very unit was stealing cars itself. So if you steal cars because you are in their terrain, they arrest you. They know how it works, but they were running a car racket themselves. Once you have the police and its security establishment being compromised like that, you can't deal with the ordinary corrupt person. And I would take it a little bit further. That, I mean, in the during the years of President Zuma, this thing became entrenched. And even the police would say, well, if the minister does it, why don't we do it? So the whole system gets corrupted, and we need to turn it around. This is where we are. And I'm one of those who have been working since 2015. We'll write about this one day, to turn this thing around and clean up the system. But you must clean up the police, you must clean up the intelligence. They corrupted the intelligence services. I think they knew where to start and where to end. The first, if you want to capture a state, you corrupt the intelligence services, remove the people who are clean, put people who are coming to serve your interest. And therefore, you don't have intelligence. I mean, what we are hearing in Madanga should have been dealt with long ago if you had an effective intelligence services. I was there. I mean, who would know that there's somebody who's having business with a minister, visits the minister, etc., who is corrupt, and would go to the minister and say, Minister, there's somebody who has befriended you. That person is dangerous. You should not have dealings with that person. That's during my time when we're in government. We're able to deal with it and clean, But we didn't have, the ANC didn't have enough police from the exile. They didn't develop police. They produced soldiers. So you had to transform the police force. You had to transform the army. So this was a huge task. But those who meant to sabotage us made sure that they corrupt our people to be able to get them to do what they wanted them to do. So I'm involved in that project, not just as Integrity Commission. Integrity Commission, I was appointed, 2023. But we started 2015, and it is us who took a stand and said, we can't go in this direction. And the documents are there, and our track is there. We should do more, much more.
The fish, they say, rots from the head.
Of course, yeah, that's what happened. And that's why we are where we are.
We had a compromised president before.
Yeah.
The Guptas captured the president, and therefore the job was done. That's all they had to do.
Yeah.
We have a compromised president today. And my suggestion is, if we are decisive with leadership that is compromised, the rest will be easy.
Well, ma'am,
the rest will be easy.
I think on this matter, because I can see you keep on coming back to it, give the president a chance to prove himself, and he argues he is innocent, and let him prove himself. We can't stop him and say, give him, just walk away, because it means you are actually walking away with the cloud behind you. So let the president follow the process to prove himself, to show that what you are saying is not true. And it's up to him. I mean, he's qualified to take care of himself. And so I wouldn't want us to pass judgment on the basis of what the media says. We must pass judgment on the basis of evidence before us. And that review will actually test that, and the impeachment will deal with that matter. My view is we should renew the system, transform it, reach a stage where you can say, at least even if somebody is corrupt, it's not a permissible thing. Because people reached that stage where they thought getting a tender when you don't qualify and you buy a civil servant. Now it's more civil servants than political leaders. It has gone that far. And black young business people are saying it is more difficult to do business as a young black business person because they make you pay everywhere. Whites, they don't, because they don't expect them, they are not vulnerable. It's big companies and etc. But when you go to blacks, they make you pay. That's what they are telling the younger business people. So we need to end this. But we shouldn't end up being caught in controversy about one person and then spend more time there, and the criminals assist us to get rid of that person so that they can put their person and then continue with the corruption. I think there's no party, by the way, I've told other parties, there's no party that will escape this unless we as the people of South Africa say no.
Yes.
And that's where I'm going to. It's mobilization of people, make sure they understand corruption pays for now because you've got a corrupted police force. And the few who are clean, maybe more who are clean, I mustn't be caught with numbers, are trying their best, but some of them get killed for doing it. So we shouldn't take it that it is as easy as that. I work at a moral level, and I've said it even on Saturday preaching in a conference, to get people to change their way of thinking and not glorify corruption. I mean, when people appear with Ferraris and they think that's the way of life, I say no. It depends on how you accumulate that wealth. You must work for it, and anybody who gets a tender must get it to serve people, not to make money for themselves. And there's no road, there's no house, but the money is gone. It's unacceptable.
How would you respond to those who say the ANC is the leader of society?
Yeah.
And because the ANC is compromised, society is compromised.
Well,
that you've led by example, basically.
No, I wouldn't agree with them in that way. I would say the ANC was captured, and for a stretch of about 10 years, there was lots of damage. But the people, the members, are not damaged. They just couldn't do anything about it. It required us as veterans to take a stand. And were sweared at. I still have the emails that were coming to me, who are you and all of that stuff. And so we must accept that. So as an ANC member, I could have decided to walk away like others. I decided if you walk away and leave this machine, it will grind the people to nothingness. We must stop those of us who are there must stop the machine. That's destructive. And we've worked on it from 2015, these commissions and etc. People say they are not producing results. I think it's false. You need to read Langeman to say how many people have been charged, what happened, etc. And make sure when you charge people, you've got evidence. Yeah.
There were 97 names that were implicated in state capture that were supposed to appear at the Integrity Commission. Have they? How many of them have appeared?
Well, it's a few. We referred the rest. By the way, the 99, it's not just leaders. It has 97.
Yes, it's 97.
It's not just leaders. There were few people who are in the leadership. Others are in business and etc. Yes. We dealt with a few of them, and those who didn't come, we referred them to the NEC to deal with them. And at that point, you need to ask them what they did with them.
The NEC?
Yeah.
So if you have a compromised NEC, do you think they will be enthusiastic about taking any action?
There are clean people there who are doing their best. I think the cleaning up is happening. It takes long, unfortunately. You can to destroy a system, it's easy, but to rebuild it, it's not easy. It takes long, but I think we are getting there. So I'm one of those who believe that we are actually getting there. Those who are corrupt are under siege. And those who are still in the systems are feeling uncomfortable. And that's what we need to do. But you're not going to deal with it overnight. It's a huge damage that has been done. So the ANC is leader of society. It became leader of society, but it was taken down for a number of years. It's coming up again. And we need to make sure that it remains leader of society. That's why this is too huge a machinery. When you walk away, it doesn't stop. And those of us who decided we must stop this, because you can't stop it from outside. Those who are outside are just observing, like yourself observing what's happening. You can't do anything. But those who are inside have a duty to make sure that this huge machine is cleaned up and that it serves the people. And in the last few years, you can see change. I mean, for now, we're dealing with service delivery. Why, if there is water running in a street, why is it there? Why is it not dealt with? I can show you the emails that deal with that on a daily basis.
Maybe from your vantage point, you can see change, but from an outside and ordinary citizen's point of view, we just see more and more allegations piling up and our quality of life not improving.
And the weakness of the ANC now is that it is not telling the story about the change. But it's not also the weakness of the ANC, it's the media. The media is not interested in a story about change. They are more interested in a story about crisis. And so when I deal with the water crisis in Naleji, for 6 months, we got to deal with it. Nobody reports about that.
That it was actually resolved.
Yeah, and Ekurhuleni, there was a burst there, pipe, and we summoned the ad hoc committee that deals with that, and within 48 hours, they were able to deal with that problem. That municipality didn't have the equipment to deal with that. We had to get it from neighboring municipalities to come and deal with it. There is work that has been done. Maybe one day we should talk about what is this work that you don't see, which will then tell you that this is not the end of the road. But in any way, there's no alternative. There are parties that tried to come in and got less than 1% and 1%. It's when you have this huge machinery, people believe in it, and you go to the election, you still get the percentage you get. Now, the reduction of the percentage from 57 to 40%, which people say is dramatic, I mean, it was just hiving off the MKP, really, in the main. If the MKP didn't hive off, the ANC would still be 50-something%.
But of the people that have come before you, I don't want you to talk about specific cases, but just your analysis. I know I've heard the counter-revolutionary argument that you've made, but what is your assessment of why people go down this road of immorality, besides counter-revolutionary forces that you've mentioned earlier?
Let's talk about human beings. Human beings always take the route that's with less resistance. And if I'm poor and somebody comes to help me, the likelihood is that people go in that direction.
But the people that have come before you are, with due respect, not poor.
Well,
all of them.
By the way, rich people still. So
Poor in morals.
It's not like They want more money. I'm amazed. I mean, my dear wife always says, habahore. They never get filled. They keep on stealing. Even if they've stolen billions, they keep on stealing. So you can't stop it by observing and complaining. You need to deal with it.
How?
Yeah, but that's what we are doing now. That's why I'm saying to you, let me talk about veterans.
Yes.
We decided to intervene with the leadership. It was a huge struggle. You remember the press conference we had with the Katradas and,
Yes.
we brought all the veterans together. We then went to see the African National Congress, NEC, in their meeting. And we had 45 veterans who went to that meeting with sticks and wheelchairs to go and say, this can't go on. You must stop it. And from there on, we've been working on that. Firstly, you have to clean the Veterans League itself because it was captured and used as a factional instrument. We dealt with that so that these old people don't get used for factional activities. We have done conferences. The Veterans League is cleaned up. I can stand here and say, the Veterans League, that's why the positions it takes are very clear. You just go and look at what they say and what they do. And then we're dealing with the National Executive Committee of the ANC. I went to address the Youth League Lekgotla, NEC Lekgotla, in Bloemfontein a few weeks ago to talk about this. And we're talking with the Women's League. It's a huge task. But the direction it's correct now. We're going in that direction, but you'll come up with those who still have this cancer. I make an example of my cancer. My cancer was detected early because I check. And they said you can live for 15 years, but it's going to hit you one day. They did a major op to take it out. 5 years later, the reading was going up. And the x-rays, etc., sophisticated machinery. They said, no, there were 3 points which were dots which were remaining. Those are the dots that are coming back. So even if you clean the system, you'll still have a baggage that come along, and you need to clean that. And this is where we are at the present moment. I've said to the Youth League, if you must be the Lembede Youth League, the 1940 Youth League that changed the ANC. The ANC of the 50s, 60s is the one that was saved by the Youth League. I said, you either choose to be a Lembede Youth League or you join the rot and destroy the ANC completely. And so the message is going there. It's only that it's not headlines.
Are you hopeful, Reverend?
Yeah.
Are you hopeful that the work that you're doing will at least remove majority of the cancer?
I am hopeful. I can't lose hope. If you lose hope, then you give up, I'm hopeful. We fought a huge apartheid machinery with nuclear weapons, the strongest army on the continent. We brought it down. We paid a lot. It was costly. I don't want to talk about the costs for us in dealing with what we are dealing with now. But give yourself a chance to listen to this story about what is being done to turn this Titanic. And that as you turn it, there will be others who remain around. And you need to be able to do, I stop completing my story that the doctor said we must do radiation on you for 6 weeks every day. I went there and they did radiation for 30 minutes every day and then killed it. So we need radiation. I've said to comrades, we now need radiation. We've taken out the bigger part. It's out, but we need radiation to clean up the remains. And then we we have a better ANC that can lead the people in the way it did when we started.
And where are you with the
No,
Pala and the good? You can't say.
I can't announce. Remember, the commission makes recommendations to the executive committee. And it is the executive committee that acts, not the commission. Unlike a court or public protector, we don't publish our findings. We give them to the ANC, and the ANC acts on that. So if you want to know where things are, the SG is your reference point to ask him about that.
And if they don't act, do you have any mechanisms to force them to act, or you just watch and pray?
Yeah, that's now internal issues. We engage. We engage with them, because if they don't act, it means then NEC itself is bringing the organization into disrepute. So they have to act, and that's why I'm saying ask them. They must account. My job is to refer, to recommend. It's not a final decision. It's not like a disciplinary committee. A disciplinary committee is an end in itself. Ours, it's like the public protector system, where the person sees the report, responds, does whatever, and then we submit the report for action. Now, even judges don't act. They find people guilty, and then the state deals with it.
Reverend Chikane, thank you so very much.
Yeah.
So we really, really do appreciate the time that you've taken to explain this very, very important work that you are doing within the African National Congress. We wish you everything of the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.